Welcome, welcome, welcome to the deep dive. We dig through, a whole stack of sources, articles, research, our own thinking to really bring you the stuff that works, the actionable knowledge. And today, we're diving into something really foundational, these things called mental models, how they can reshape your whole approach to business, starting something new, life, even those big career pivots we all think about. This isn't just theory, right? It's about practical tools, frameworks you can actually use that can make a huge difference. So what can you expect from this deep dive? Well, we're going to unpack some powerful thinking shortcuts. The kind top performers use all the time will make these big ideas real with vivid examples. Think industry giants, but also maybe that clever local business down the street. And yeah, we'll try to keep it engaging, maybe a few twists, keep you hooked. Our whole goal here is basically to give you a shortcut, help you get really informed quickly, thoroughly, but without feeling buried in information. Think of it as your guide to unlocking, well, your own potential. And to guide us through this, we've got an expert with us, someone who hasn't just studied these models, but has actually used them to build, well, extraordinary success, and thankfully shares those insights. So let's just jump right in. Why are these mental models so vital, especially when you're thinking about a big career change or maybe pouring everything into scaling a business you started?
That's really the perfect place to start because what we're really talking about here are, well, they seem simple, but they're profound tools, frameworks really. They're designed to help you create, let's say, life-changing abundance. And not just money, but freedom, fulfillment, making a real impact. My core belief is this. If more people really got how to start a business where the risk is, like, close to zero, way more people would actually go for it, would pursue those entrepreneurial dreams. It's often that fear of risk, which gets blown way out of proportion, that holds people back. It's kind of ironic, actually.
Risk close to zero. That sounds almost counterintuitive to starting a business.
Yeah. It does, doesn't it? But we'll unpack that. So mental models are basically frameworks for thinking, or maybe like special lenses you can put on to look at any problem or decision or opportunity. Each one gives you a unique kind of clarity. But here's where the magic happens, the real power. It's when you start layering them, weaving them together. I call it a lattice work of mental models. When you combine them, see how they interact, reinforce each other. That's when, 1 plus 1 suddenly becomes 11.
1 plus 1 becomes 11, non-linear outcome.
Exactly, nonlinear. Surprisingly potent sometimes, much more powerful than just adding up the individual parts. These models, they aren't all the same type or, pointing the same way. But when you integrate them, you get this comprehensive sort of panoramic view. And look, ultimately, these tools are about giving you the freedom to really express what's inside you, to get your music out, as I like to say, doing what really resonates deep down, which, let's be honest, a typical 9 to 5 doesn't always let you do that.
That idea of 1 plus 1 becoming 11, that synergy, it's really fascinating. But okay, let's be real. What are the pitfalls? Where does it go wrong? Where does someone try to combine these and it just falls flat? Or worse, becomes zero?
That's a really good question, a crucial distinction, the biggest pitfall. Usually it's a lack of discipline, not applying all the relevant models consistently, or maybe not truly getting the principles underneath. People might cherry pick what they like or they get impatient. It takes thought. But when you do apply them thoughtfully, the rewards, they're immense.
Okay, so discipline. Got it. Let's unpack that synergy idea with a concrete example then, maybe one that challenges how we normally think about innovation.
Perfect. Let's start with one that many people might initially look down on, or at least misunderstand, because it seems to fly right in the face of what we're always told about business. Cloning, and how it connects directly to those low-risk models we just mentioned.
Cloning, like copying, that doesn't sound very innovative.
Exactly. We're constantly told you must invent something brand new. You have to be the first, the groundbreaker. But the reality, it's much more pragmatic, less romantic maybe. The world actually will very easily accept 3 of the same thing, or 5 of the same thing. In fact, being a really great cloner, someone who's expert at seeing what works, understanding why it works, and then replicating it maybe with a small twist or a new place that can put you like 90%, even 95% ahead of almost everyone else.
95% ahead just by cloning effectively.
It's a massive head start.
Yeah.
And it minimizes risk hugely. There's something peculiar, I guess, in how we think that kind of looks down on cloning. Maybe it's that drive for originality. But if your goal is building wealth with minimal risk, cloning is often the smartest path.
Okay, I need some examples here because cloning still sounds a bit iffy.
Fair enough. Let's look at some history.
Yeah.
Take Bill Gates and Microsoft. We see him as the ultimate innovator, right? And in many ways he was. But look closely. Microsoft's biggest, most lasting successes, They came from expert cloning, Microsoft Word. It was expertly adapted from WordPerfect. WordPerfect was dominant then, but Microsoft eventually surpassed them.
Okay, word from WordPerfect.
Excel. That came from Lotus 123, another giant they overtook.
Yeah.
Bing! Well, that's Microsoft's version of Google, isn't it? As I've often said, almost everything Microsoft has done really well came from watching closely, that effectively replicating, and importantly, enhancing solutions someone else already built. They weren't always first, but they were often the best at adapting, improving, scaling.
So observing, replicating, enhancing. What about outside tech?
Oh, absolutely. Think Sam Walton. Walmart, the Walton family, combined their wealth, richest family in the world. Incredible success story. Yet Sam Walton himself, he'd readily admit, I had no original ideas. Walmart didn't invent the department store or discount retail. They effectively cloned Sears and Kmart, giants back then.
And what happened?
Walmart crushed them, systematically refined the model, executed flawlessly, and eventually, buried them both. Sam Walton was intense about cloning. He'd be driving on vacation, see a store, make the family wait in the car while he went in to, quote, check it out. He believed he could learn from anyone, any store.
Even bad ones.
He told the story once. His manager saw this terrible, messy store. Just awful. But Sam pointed out, yeah, but did you see the candle display? The candle display was fantastic. He could pull out specific, valuable bits even from a train wreck. Walmart really is just this amalgamation of best practices, good ideas, meticulously observed, adapted, executed from everywhere.
Wow. Well, okay, that reframes Walmart completely. Anyone else?
Even Starbucks, often hailed as this innovative coffee giant. But Howard Schultz, the guy behind it, he took a trip to Italy, saw the thriving cafe culture there, the social ritual, and realized, hey, I can bring that coffee shop experience to the U.S. He didn't invent coffee shops. He cloned the concept of the Italian cafe, adapted its social vibe, tailored it for America.
So cloning the experience, not just the product.
Exactly. These examples show true innovation isn't always about inventing from scratch. Often it's observing, learning, and applying proven models expertly, maybe in a new place or with a better approach.
Okay, that's a powerful reframing. So cloning isn't just like wholesale copying, blindly duplicating something without thought. It sounds more like focusing on models, work, really digging into why they work, and then adapting or enhancing them, putting your own spin on it maybe. Is that about right? And how does that specifically tie back to minimizing risks so effectively?
Precisely. You've absolutely hit the nail on the head. The core principle, especially starting out, minimize risk. Cloning is a direct path to that. When you replicate a proven model, you're not starting from absolute zero, right? You've got data, you've got market validation, you have a kind of roadmap of what works.
Reduces the unknowns.
Drastically. Reduces the potential for just falling flat on your face. In many cases, if you apply these models thoughtfully, combine them, that risk can get really close to zero. Now, contrast that with the supposed security of a 9-to-5 job. For many, that path is actually extremely risky. Think about it. You've only got one life. You might spend decades doing something that doesn't light you up, never really getting your music out, never feeling that deep satisfaction of building something meaningful.
That's a sobering thought, the risk of not pursuing something.
Exactly. So when you combine models like, say, intelligent cloning with rigorous risk minimization, that's where you get that nonlinear thing, that 1 + 1 = 11 effect. You're not just cutting risk, you're stacking the odds massively in your favor, creating a path that's almost guaranteed to be more fulfilling and often, far more financially rewarding than the standard route.
Okay, minimizing risk, cloning success. Sounds amazing. Transformative even. But, okay, let's get practical. For many of us listening, the biggest hurdle is just time. We're already juggling jobs, families, life. How do we even start finding the hours, the mental energy to try these ideas when our plates are already overflowing? Can you walk us through that Lego blocks idea? How do we realistically carve out that time?
Yeah, this is where the Lego blocks metaphor really clicks for people. It helps visualize your most precious resource, time. Your 168 hours a week. Imagine it laid out. Start with a non-negotiable sleep, right? Gotta sleep. 8 hours a day, 7 days. Let's call those your blue blocks. Solid foundation.
Okay, 56 blue blocks for sleep.
Then, for most, the main job, the 9-to-5. Typically 40 hours, 5 days a week. Let's make those a darker blue, another big chunk.
Right, 40 dark blue blocks.
Next, routine stuff. Dinner prep, showering, getting ready, commute, chores.
Yeah.
The essentials. Probably takes, 4 hours on weekdays, maybe 8 on weekends? Let's call those green blocks. Essential, but maybe reducible.
Green blocks. Yeah, sounds about right. Commute especially can eat time.
Exactly. Then we get to the interesting part, the orange blocks. Your free time. This is where a lot of the week vanishes for many people. About 4 hours weekdays, 8 hours weekends. This is social media time, Netflix binges, hanging out, going out, just general unwinding. For most, this breakdown is pretty accurate.
The orange blocks, where the potential seems to hide.
Precisely. Now, here's the crucial insight when you want to start something. Don't just quit your job. Don't shut off the cash flow. Let your current employer pay the rent, pay the groceries, keep that stability. The only tweak we make to those dark blue 9-to-5 blocks is this. Adjust your performance. Bring it down to just above firing level.
Just above firing level, seriously.
Seriously. Before my first startup, I used to aim for top reviews, be the absolute best. The day I decided to launch, I consciously decided I just need to be good enough not to get fired. Nothing more.
Why?
Because I needed all my extra mental and physical energy for my thing.
Yeah.
That frees up a huge amount of energy previously spent on extra blue overperforming for someone else.
Okay, that's a radical shift. Freeing up energy from the day job.
And that freed up energy plus the orange blocks. That becomes your yellow blocks. This is where you carve out time for your startup, your passion project. I recommend aiming for maybe 4 hours a day on weekdays after work, and a solid 10 hours a day on weekends.
4 hours weekdays, 10 hours weekends, that's significant.
It is. And you protect it. We're not messing with sleep, the blue blocks stay. And you absolutely cut commute time, those green blocks, as much as possible. Every hour counts. But here's the key. The yellow has to be more exciting than the orange. Your startup, your music, has to be more compelling than scrolling Instagram or watching another show. Netflix should feel painfully boring compared to the buzz you get building your thing.
The yellow needs to outshine the orange.
Because fundamentally, the real purpose of business isn't just making money. That's a side effect. A very welcome one, but a side effect. The real purpose is delivering something incredible to humanity, solving a real problem, bringing value, focus on that, and the money tends to follow.
So it's about strategically redirecting that orange energy, that underused time, often spent on distractions, redirecting it towards getting your music out, bringing something valuable into the world, driven by a passion that just makes Netflix look dull. That's a powerful shift, almost alchemical, like you said.
Exactly. Getting your music out means knowing you have something inside, a talent, an idea, a product, a service that you genuinely feel the world needs. And when it's a calling, when it resonates that deeply, it doesn't feel like work. It's just you expressing yourself, doing what you feel you're meant to do. Now look, this path, it isn't for everyone. And that's totally okay. If you're genuinely fired up by your 9-to-5, if you're tap dancing to work, awesome. Maybe you're getting your music out on someone else's stage. That's great too.
But the stats, they aren't great, are they? Disengagement is high.
They're stark. Something like 85% of workers globally are disengaged, not really into it. And 12% are actively unsatisfied. So if you're not tap dancing to work every day, it's worth asking why. Is there something else calling you? Is there a misalignment? Finding that calling. Yeah, it might take some thought experiments, talking to friends you trust, trying small things in those yellow blocks, little experiments. But I believe we all have some music we want to share. The journey is finding it and then dedicating those yellow blocks to bringing it out.
Okay, so we find our potential calling, we carve out the yellow block time. How do we know if the music is actually any good, if people want to listen? How do we validate the idea without sinking ears into something nobody wants? That seems like where a lot of people get stuck.
That's a critical question.
Yeah.
And here's the hard truth. Whatever brilliant idea you cook up in your own head, in that ivory tower, probably not 100% right, not as it is. Your brain, amazing as it is just too small to figure it all out alone. The key, rapid prototyping and relentless external validation.
Get it out of your head and in front of people fast.
Exactly. Take that first version, that crude prototype, that simple pitch, and show it to real humans, potential customers, and ask for their honest, brutal feedback. And this is where your listening skills, they need to be dialed up to 11, amplified tenfold.
Listening more than talking.
Way more. I can give you a very personal story from my first IT services business. I made this PowerPoint deck, right, presenting to big companies. I'm in a meeting with this senior IT exec at a huge bank, going through my slides, 1, 2, up to slide 10. I finish slide 10, start to move to 11, and he stops me. Go back to slide 10. Okay, I go back, repeat my spiel for slide 10, try to move on again. He stops me again. Go back to slide 10 and do not change the slide. I have zero interest in any other slide.
Wow, just one slide.
Just one. Out of maybe 7 services I was offering on different slides, but slide 10, that hit an extreme pain point for him. He didn't care about the other 6 things. He needed help with that one specific thing. Now, the lesson was crystal clear. Your potential customer will often tell you exactly what you need to do, what problem you actually solve for them. Whatever you thought was brilliant might be 40% right, 70% right, but they will guide you to the 100% right because it's their pain, their need.
So you listened. What did you do?
Went straight back to the office, took that single slide 10, blew it up into a 20-slide deck. That became my entire business pitch. Everything else thrown out. I couldn't have figured that out alone. My brain was too small. You have to listen. Your listening radar needs to be 10x normal. We learn when we listen, not when we speak.
That's huge. So few businesses end up exactly as planned initially.
Almost none. It's always this interplay, this dance between the founders and the early customers, shaping the idea like wet clay into something people actually want and will pay for. Think about Google Glass. Amazing tech, right? But it failed commercially. Why? Glasses are personal, the ergonomics, the look, the social weirdness.
Yeah.
It was slightly off. People felt awkward.
Yeah, the glass hole phenomenon.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Contrast that with Meta partnering with Ray-Ban for their smart glasses. Made them look normal, fashionable even. They understood the human factor. So no, you're not smart enough to figure it all out yourself. You need killer listening skills and the flexibility to pivot based on feedback, separate the signal from the noise.
That's such a great point. It reminds me, I literally had an interview this morning for a really key role. This person had like 20 years at a huge company, impressive stuff, and she spent most of the hour telling me all the things she'd done. But my main goal, my pain point, was finding someone who could put on large-scale events. That's it. And I realized, listening to you, she could have just started by asking, okay, what exactly are you looking for? What's the biggest challenge you need to solve right now? If I'd said big events, the next 55 minutes could have been her persuading me she was the best person on earth for that, instead of just listing accomplishments.
Precisely. It's the same principle. Understand the other person's need first. Listen. Then tailor your response. So simple, yet so often missed. And that kind of focus, that precision, it ties into another mental model, attention to detail, especially around costs. Sam Walton again, meaning Walmart. Why Walmart? 7 letters. He was literally thinking about the cost of signage. Fewer letters, less cost per sign times thousands of stores.
That level of detail on the name.
That level, cost sensitivity was everywhere at Walmart. Squeezing pennies. Because cost control, that's one thing you could always control in business, even when the market dictates your prices.
You can always control your costs.
Always. And it's not just for discount retailers.
No.
Look at LVMH, luxury goods empire, right? Louis Vuitton, Tiffany. But Bernard Arnault, the CEO, runs an incredibly tight ship. He's known for negotiating absolutely mind-blowing real estate deals. Just ruthless on cost efficiency.
Even in luxury.
Especially in luxury, maybe. That discipline on costs applied everywhere, big and small, that's a huge part of why he became the richest person in Europe. It's a universal principle for lasting success. That focus, that discipline. It also highlights another key model, knowing your circle of competence. LVMH stays in luxury. They know it inside out. Successful entrepreneurs, they're brutally honest about what they know, what they're good at, and maybe more importantly, what they're not good at.
Like Warren Buffett avoiding tech he doesn't get.
Exactly like Buffett. For you, starting out, it means focusing your yellow blocks, your precious energy where your contribution really shines. Don't try to be a jack of all trades. And within that circle, always look for the low-hanging fruit. This is about finding the easy wins first. The opportunities that give you the biggest bang for the least buck or least effort or least capital.
Quick wins to build momentum.
Exactly. Think back to our barber in the new town. He didn't invent a new haircutting technique. He saw an unserved market, low-hanging fruit, and addressed it with minimal risk. Simple, obvious need.
That makes sense. What else is in that toolkit?
Okay, another critical one, especially when you build a team or even just a network. Understanding givers versus takers. Adam Grant wrote brilliantly about this. Basically, humans fall into 3 buckets: givers, takers, or matchers.
Givers, takers, matchers.
Matchers are quid pro quo. You scratch my back, I scratch yours. Fairly common. Takers. They're just trying to get ahead, often at others' expense. They try to scam, screw people over. They generally go nowhere long-term. Get rid of them fast.
Avoid the takers. Got it.
Givers, though, they're different. They're not focused on what they get back. They genuinely want to help. Help humanity, help the people around them, add value without keeping score. And what happens, almost magically, is the universe seems to conspire to help them. Everyone wants to help the giver, even though the giver isn't asking. They end up being the most successful.
So the advice is, be a giver.
Be a giver. Profoundly simple, profoundly effective. Don't play math games with relationships. Don't calculate the immediate ROI on kindness or help. Always try to let the other person feel they got the better end of the deal. That goodwill, it compounds. massively
Yeah.
over time without you even cracking it. It's an investment in social capital with incredible nonlinear returns.
That's a beautiful model. And then you mentioned the rule of 72 and skin in the game.
Right. Skin in the game is just about having a personal stake, aligning incentives. When you save and invest your own money, you've got skin in the game for your own future.
Which brings us to the rule of 72. Okay, that's a fantastic toolkit, a real mental arsenal. I appreciate you expanding on those. Let's zoom in on one that feels incredibly practical for anyone listening, thinking about their finances rule of 72. Tell us how it works, why it's such a powerful shortcut for thinking about investing, and how it really shows that skin in the game in action.
Yeah, the rule of 72 is brilliant. It's a simple mathematical hack, a shortcut, really. It tells you approximately how long it takes for your money to double at a given annual rate of return, and it makes that skin in the game tangible. You see your money growing, compounding, the formula, dead simple. Take the number 72, divide it by your annual return percentage. That's it.
72 divided by the return rate equals years to double.
Exactly. Let's run some quick examples. Say you get a 7% annual return. 72 divided by 7, it's about 10.28. So roughly 10 years for your money to double.
Okay, 7% doubles in 10 years.
Achieve a 10% return. 72 divided by 10 is 7.2, so it doubles in about 7 years, faster.
10% doubles in 7 years.
Get a 15% return. 72 divided by 15 is 4.8, doubles in roughly 5 years.
Getting faster.
And if you're consistently hitting, say, 20%, doubles in about 3.5 years. It's so useful because it lets you do fairly complex compound interest math in your head, gives you an intuitive feel for it. Compounding. Einstein supposedly called it the eighth wonder of the world. It's hard to grasp intuitively, but the rule of 72 makes it real.
Makes the magic visible.
Precisely. And to show the true power, the almost unbelievable magic of compounding over long periods. Let's use that classic Manhattan Island story. Back in 1623, Dutch settlers supposedly bought Manhattan from Native Americans for about 23 thrills worth of goods. People hear that and think, wow, the natives got ripped off.
Yeah, that's the common take.
But let's play a what if. What if the tribe had a really savvy trust officer who took that 23 thrillers and just invested it at a modest, consistent 7% annual return for the tribe's benefit?
Okay, 23 tenths at 7%. Using the rule, doubles every 10 years.
Right. So after 100 years, by 1723, it would have doubled 10 times. 2 in the power of 10. That's 1,024. So the 23 times becomes roughly $23,000.
$23,000 to $23,000 in 100 years.
Yeah. Now you see the curve starting. That hockey stick. Fast forward another 100 years to 1823. That $23,000 doubles another 10 times, becomes $23 million.
Billion, wow.
Another 100 years, 1923, $23 billion.
Billion.
And today, roughly 400 years later, in 2023, that initial 23,000, just compounding away at 7%, would be worth a staggering $23 trillion.
Trillion. That's unbelievable.
To put it in perspective, the entire wealth of everyone in the U.S. today is around $150 trillion. So that $23 trillion is a huge chunk of it, more than the value of all the developed land in Manhattan today, easily.
Too easy.
The Native Americans weren't necessarily taken on the initial value. They just didn't have a good trust officer who understood compounding.
They missed the compounding runway.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Huge implication. If the runway is long enough, you have enough time. The starting amount, surprisingly, matters less. Even the rate of return matters less than just time. I mean, if you started with just 2.3 cents, over 500 years at that rate, still $23 trillion. Time is the great multiplier.
So, okay, bring it back to us, listeners, especially younger ones just starting out. What's the concrete advice here?
Okay, rooted in these models, here's the plan. 1, financial discipline. Spend less than you earn. Sounds basic, I know, but it's foundational. Make it a habit. Save the first dollar you get, not the last one you hope is left over. Huge mental shift. Prioritize future you.
Save first, not last. Got it.
2, start young. That early money. It gets the longest runway. 50 years of compounding. That's where the explosive growth happens. Money saved at 20 works way harder than money saved at 40.
Time is your biggest asset.
Absolutely. 3, don't chase heroic returns. You don't need to find the next unicorn or try to time the market. Just invest consistently in a broad index fund. S&P 500 is fine. Tracks the biggest U.S. companies. Or even a solid diversified stock like Berkshire Hathaway. Just set it and forget it. Market-level returns over decades. Way more powerful than chasing risky high flyers.
Keep it simple. Stay consistent.
Exactly. And 4, focus on your yellow. Let your investments compound quietly in the background. You dedicate your main energy, your creativity, your yellow blocks to building your thing.
Yeah.
Your startup, your calling. Your active efforts are where you create the big value. Your passive investments just build a financial runway underneath you.
Let compounding do its job while you do yours.
Precisely. Think about it. Put away just $5,000 when you're 18. Let it grow at 10% a year for 50 years till you're 68. Using the rule of 72, it doubles roughly every 7 years. 7 to 10 equals 7.2. So over 50 years, that's about 7 doublings. 2 to the power of 7 is 128. So that $5,000 grows to roughly $640,000.
5K to over $500,000 just by starting early and letting it sit. That's compelling. Makes financial freedom seem achievable. Okay, speaking of investing, what about day trading? Huge allure for young people now. Looks like a fast track. Your take?
My take. Very clear. Avoid it. It's not a path to sustainable wealth for almost anyone. Look, with day trading, the broker, the platforms, they make the money, not you. The game's rigged against the retail trader. Fees, spread, speed, disadvantages.
The house always wins.
Pretty much. Look at the Forbes 400 list. The richest people. You find any day traders on there? Nope. Wealth is built long-term. Low-risk compounding. Finding great businesses, working patiently, not frantic, speculative trading. It's investing versus gambling, really.
Important difference. Okay, let's shift gears slightly. You're often called the Dhandho Investor. What does Dhandho actually mean? It's Gujarati, right? And why is it tied to your approach?
Yes, Dhandho is Gujarati, from Gujarat, western coast of India. Gandhi was from there. And the region is known for very astute, very disciplined business people. If you translate Dhandho literally, it just means business. But the deeper meaning, the real essence, it's a way of doing business where the downside is basically non-existent or extremely limited. It's about building wealth without taking on those big conventional risks.
Downside close to zero again.
It's the core principle. Heads I win, tails I don't lose much. We talked about Gates, Walton, Branson earlier. They were Dhandho investors, in effect. They won big, built huge fortunes. But they structured things so if it went wrong, the loss was minimal, contained.
So it's not about no risk, but contained risk.
Exactly. It's all about rigorous risk reduction. Finding those free lunches opportunities where the upside is way bigger than the very small, controlled downside, systematically eliminating the chance of catastrophic loss.
Okay, that philosophy.
Yeah.
It sounds great. Almost too good to be true of finding free lunches. Can you give us a really vivid, real-world example of this Dhandho approach, where people built massive success almost entirely by cutting out risk?
Absolutely. One of the most powerful, most inspiring examples, the story of the Patels in the U.S. motel industry. It's an incredible case study. No original invention needed, just pure Dhandho. So, the Patels, ethnic group from India. Many had moved to Uganda generations ago, became successful there. Then Idi Amin came to power in the 70s, expelled them all, took their assets. They arrived in the U.S., basically stateless refugees, often few white-collar skills that transferred directly. Dire situation.
Starting from scratch, basically.
Completely. But a few of them, with that inherent Dhandho mindset, started noticing something. They saw they could buy these small, often kind of run-down 10 to 20 room motels using relatively small bank loans. And here's how the Dhandho method kicked in step by step. First, the whole family, often an extended family, would move into the motel, live in 1 or 2 rooms, boom, personal housing cost eliminated, huge expense gone.
Living on site, cutting personal overhead. Smart.
Second, they'd fire all the existing staff. Cleaning crew, front desk, everyone. The family members took over all the jobs. Labor costs, payroll, workers' comp, slashed dramatically.
Family labor instead of paid staff?
Third, the Patels are mostly vegetarian, live very simply, cook at home, so their overall operating costs across the board were incredibly low.
Frugal lifestyle minimizing operating costs.
Right, so now, because their costs are rock bottom, they could strategically undercut the prices of all the other motels nearby. If competitors charged $25 a night, the Patel Motel could charge $19. Confidently. That slight price difference, driven by their amazing cost structure, led to way higher occupancy rates, maxed out their revenue potential.
Lower prices, higher occupancy. Makes sense.
Then they'd meticulously save every single penny, use that capital to buy the next small motel, send a nephew, a cousin, another family member to run it using the exact same Dhandho model.
Yeah.
Repeat, repeat, repeat. Build an empire, one motel at a time.
Wow. Just replicating the model relentlessly.
And the result, starting in the early 70s, today, Patels, who are maybe 0.1% of the U.S. population, own something like 80% of all the motels in the United States.
80%. That's unbelievable.
It's a stunning illustration. Low risk, low capital, highly disciplined Dhandho method. Fueled by collective effort, smart observation, leading to monumental, scalable success. They built huge fortunes without the risks most people think are essential for business. Pure heads I win, tails I don't lose much.
That Patel story, It perfectly shows that entrepreneurship isn't always Silicon Valley flash or some huge tech breakthrough. It's about seeing an opportunity and just executing with incredible discipline.
Yeah.
But still, the media focus. It's all
Yeah.
disruptive tech, venture capital, right? Is that really the main path? Or even the most common one for people wanting to, get their music out?
Absolutely. Not the only path.
Yeah.
Definitely not the most common. That media focus on VC-backed tech, it creates a totally skewed picture. It's often discouraging, frankly.
Yeah.
The reality, 99.99% of startups are non-venture backed. They're the small businesses, the backbone of the economy.
The laundromats, the restaurants.
The local Chinese place, the successful eBay seller, the plumber, the electrician, these weren't built with huge VC checks. They were built by regular people solving everyday problems, identifying needs, providing value. You can pretty much ignore the whole tech startup narrative if your goal is starting smart, minimizing risk, building sustainable wealth.
So what should people focus on instead?
Be an astute observer. Constantly look for what my father used to call offering gaps.
Offering gaps.
Yeah, just things that should exist in the world but don't, or don't exist in the right way or the right place or the right price. Often they're simple things, low capital moves, no massive invention needed.
Okay, give me an example of spotting an offering gap.
Sure, let's use the barbershop scenario. Imagine two established towns, Town A and Town B, about 30 miles apart. Both have plenty of barbers. Now, a new town, Town C, starts growing fast, right in the middle, population booming, but no barbers yet. Our barber in Town A, he's observant. He notices this gap. Now, does he quit his job, take out a huge loan, build a fancy new shop in Town C? No way. Too risky.
Dhandho approach incoming.
Exactly. He takes a classic Dhandho approach to fill this offering gap. He rents a tiny sublease in Town C, maybe just a corner in an existing shop, one day a week, Wednesday, say. Buys some used barber equipment, perfectly good but cheap. Puts up a simple sign. Barber here on Wednesdays. That's it. Low cost, low commitment.
Testing the waters with minimal investment.
Precisely. What happens? People in Town C start coming. They have no other convenient choice. Why drive 30 minutes for a haircut? Our barber can even charge a premium, maybe $45 instead of his usual $30 in Town A, because he's saving customers time, hassle, opportunity cost.
Convenience commands a premium.
Right. His Wednesdays fill up. Demand is there. So, okay, maybe he adds Tuesdays. Then Tuesdays and Wednesdays fill up, gradually, organically, based on real demand. He grows into a full-time, thriving business. What risk did he take initially? Almost none. Tiny capital, tiny commitment. Kept his main job in Town A, flowing cash. Even when, inevitably, other barbers move into Town C and prices normalize, he's already established, got his clients. Proven the model, likely doubled his overall business.
That's brilliant. Just seeing the obvious gap and filling it simply.
That's spotting an offering gap. A clear need, unmet. Address it with minimal risk. Howard Schultz, same thing with Starbucks. Saw the gap for the Italian cafe experience in the U.S., filled it. Now, once you have filled that gap, established your business, the next mental model is crucial. Building a durable moat.
A moat, like around a castle.
Exactly like that. Water around the castle makes it hard for invaders, your competitors, to get in and take your business. Our barber's case, humans are creatures of habit, right? If he's a good barber, gives good service, builds a little rapport, his clients will stick with him. That loyalty, that's his moat. Makes it harder for a new barber to steal them away.
Customer loyalty as a moat. Makes sense. I was just thinking about that the other day. I shop at this supermarket, Aeron, here in LA. Someone recommended it. That's already a sign of a good product, right? Organic growth. But then second time I went, the cashier asked if I was a member, said it cost money, but listed benefits, 10% off, free drink every month. I signed up straight away. And now, honestly, I feel locked in. I don't even check prices elsewhere for certain things now. It's like a psychological barrier. I'm a member.
That's the lock-in, a very, very powerful moat. Amazon Prime, Costco membership, same principle.
Yeah.
Masterful execution. I actually sat next to Bill Gates at dinner once, years ago, and he was saying he thought Costco and Amazon's models were maybe borderline illegal.
Illegal.
His argument was the membership fee creates such a strong lock-in, it distorts buying behavior, stops people seeking the absolute lowest price elsewhere. Now, the FTC doesn't agree, obviously, but his point was it's super smart business. That lock-in is a formidable moat.
Super smart. Okay, so moats protect you. What about companies like Apple? Their moat seems legendary.
Apple's. Interesting and unusual because so much of their success, their truly groundbreaking stuff, came from one guy, Steve Jobs. He's been gone a while now. And since then, have we seen truly revolutionary new product categories from Apple in the same way? Not really. There isn't a new Steve Jobs there.
Their moat was tied to a person.
To a large extent, yeah. That unique genius. Which is why, personally, I see Apple as a bit risky long-term as an investment. If the core form factor of tech changes, radically moves beyond the phone in our pocket to something else entirely, maybe wearables, maybe brain interfaces, it's more likely, I think, to come from some new kid in a garage, not necessarily Apple. Unless Apple is incredibly smart and buys that kid early.
So the founder matters immensely.
The specialness of founders is real. Luck plays a part, sure. But great founders, they're often just extraordinary at spotting those offering gaps, things the world needs but doesn't have, or needs done better. They go after those gaps with total conviction. And sometimes, yeah, a durable moat gets built, like Visa or Amex network effects. Now, hard truth, 100% of businesses eventually go to zero. Nothing lasts forever. But some, they're built with such foresight, such strong principles they last centuries, like IKEA.
IKEA, what did they do right?
The founder, Ingvar Kamprad, he had this almost insane 500-year view for decisions, never took on debt leverage as the #1 killer of businesses, and crucially, every single new IKEA store had to have some small, measurable innovation built into it. His philosophy was, if I don't keep innovating, I'm done. Constant incremental improvement built incredible resilience.
Wow, constant measurable innovation. That's actually something anyone could apply to their own work, couldn't they? Like run one new experiment, one small innovation, and every project, every task, make it measurable. A mini prototyping cycle in your daily routine.
Absolutely. Make it measurable. Otherwise, it's not an experiment, just a guess. And that ties to another Buffett idea. Fewer, big, infrequent bets. His punch card analogy. You only get 20 punches, 20 investment decisions in your whole life. If that were true, you'd be incredibly thoughtful, right? Patient, disciplined.
Makes you really focus on quality over quantity.
Exactly. And in the stock market, the stats are wild. Only about 4% of all listed companies generate like 90% of the entire market's return over time.
Only 4% do most of the work.
Yeah. Which is why index investing is so smart. You automatically own that winning 4%. Try to pick stocks yourself. You've got maybe a 1 in 25 chance of grabbing one of those huge winners. The odds are tough.
So index funds give you exposure to the winners without needing to pick them.
Right, which leads nicely to another model, especially for long-term investing, circling the wagons. Buffett, over 50 years running Berkshire, made hundreds of investments. But only about 12 of them really moved the needle, made a huge difference. The key wasn't just buying them. It was never selling them.
Never selling the winners. Circling the wagons. Where does that come from?
19th century pioneers heading west in the U.S. When attacked, they'd quickly form a defensive circle with their wagons.
Yeah.
Protect the core. In investing, it means when you identify a multi-bagger, an investment that goes up 10x, 50x, 100x, you don't sell it. You protect it. Now, you won't know it's a multi-bagger before you buy it, obviously, but after you own it, you understand the business, you see its potential, then you circle the wagons. You don't let go of that crown jewel.
Selling winners too early is a common mistake, right?
My biggest mistakes. Not the ones that went to zero. Mistakes of omission. Selling too soon. Quick example.
Yeah.
I owned a big chunk of Fiat Chrysler once, which included 80% of Ferrari. Sold it after a few years, made a nice profit. Good, right? But if I just circled the wagons around that Ferrari stake, it's worth almost $100 billion now. I would have made literally $1 billion more. Made a couple $100 million, but missed $1 billion.
Ouch. $1 billion emission.
Ouch is right. Should have just held on. Circled the wagons. Didn't. Emotional mistake. Costly. Okay, pivoting slightly. Team building. Hugely important. One of the most critical models for any entrepreneur scaling up. Recruiting A players. Think Elon Musk, Steve Jobs. Both said their #1 job, recruiting. Elon personally interviewed the first 3,000 people at SpaceX.
3,000 interviews. That's insane dedication.
It shows the priority. Jobs famously said, A players want to work with A players. The moment you let B players in, they hire B and C players. It's a downhill slide for quality. Bozo explosion, they called it. So as a founder, you have to spend just an inordinate amount of time and energy on getting the absolute best people. Tools can help, like pre-employment testing. My company, culturetest.com, does this. Because look, people's core traits, they're mostly set early on. Genetics, first few years, you're not really changing them. Good tests give you insights you just won't get in an interview. Help you spot red flags, see if they fit the culture you need.
Yeah, working with culture test, I see that. Benchmarking the optimal culture, spotting those mismatches early, it's critical. And it's not just hiring right, is it? It's also having the courage to fire fast.
Absolutely. It sounds harsh, but it's often kindest. For the person who can find a place they do fit and thrive, and for the rest of the team whose morale and performance suffer if someone's dragging them down.
So when you're hiring those A players, what are the absolute non-negotiables for you? The bedrock traits?
3 things. Non-negotiable, intelligence, integrity,
Yeah.
and a willingness to work hard. energy, drive. And of those three, integrity is number one, the foundation, absolute honesty, black and white, highest ethical standards, always, internally, externally, doesn't matter.
Intelligence, integrity, hard work, integrity first.
Without those, no amount of skill or experience matters. You can teach skills. You can't teach integrity or innate drive.
That's a really clear framework. And it brings us back in a way to that givers versus aces takers idea you mentioned earlier. Integrity feels very linked to being a giver. It reminds me of my first job, cold calling sales at 16, selling windows and doors at 9 p.m. 98% of people slam the phone down, basically, sometimes worse. But that tiny 1-5%, they'd listen, and a fraction of them would actually buy. The lesson was just take more swings. The rejections didn't matter. Only the eventual yes mattered. Law of averages.
I had an almost identical experience, also around 16. My father had a gold jewelry factory in Dubai. He'd go cold calling in person to jewelry shops, and he'd drag me along. I'd watch, stun, first 4 shops, door slam, sometimes rudely. But the 5th shop, he'd make a sale, often tiny at first, right? No trust yet. But then we'd go back 3 months later. That same 5th shop owner would greet us with tea, and the order would be way better.
Establishing trust over time.
Exactly. I saw those doors open, and it just didn't faze my father when they closed. He focused on the ratio, the long game, the relationship. He knew one good established relationship, one single sale eventually, could be worth $200,000, $300,000 in lifetime value. So he didn't need huge numbers of wins, just needed the right ones, nurtured over time. Patience, persistence, being a consistent giver of value.
That's such a great perspective. The lifetime value applies to everything, really, not just sales. It's more philosophical. You think about conversations you had years ago, seemed like nothing, but maybe that seed, that connection, grew into something amazing later. I always remember this. I was 14, queuing for a TV show audition. Chatted with some kid for 5 minutes, total stranger. 5 years later, he messages me out of the blue on Facebook, connects me with his father. His father ends up putting serious money into my first startup. Wow. It taught me every conversation, every connection, every genuine interaction. It's like planting a seed. You never know which one will blossom or when. It's the ultimate long-term compounding of social goodwill.
Beautifully put. The compounding of goodwill. That's the giver model in action.
Okay, wow. We have covered so much ground, seriously unpacked a lot. Cloning, rule of 72, the Dhandho approach, offering gaps, moats, being a giver. So for everyone listening right now, what's one mental model, one core insight they could realistically take away and apply, like tomorrow or this week? Something concrete.
That's the key, right? Making it actionable. Okay, I'll give you a choice. Pick one of these 3 to focus on immediately. First, embrace the Dhandho. In any new thing you're thinking about, a side project, a business idea, even a negotiation, consciously ask, how can I structure this so heads I win, tails I don't lose much?
Yeah.
Actively design the downside risk out. Make it approach 0 before you commit big. Start small, validate, leverage what you have, like the Patels.
Option 1, minimize downside relentlessly.
Second, find an offering gap. Become an obsessive observer of your own environment, your work, your neighborhood, your hobbies. What's missing? What's annoying? What simple thing should exist but doesn't? Find one simple gap you could potentially fill with minimal capital and risk. Start there, even tiny, like the barber.
Option 2, spot and fill a simple gap.
Third, audit your Legos. Look honestly at your weekly Lego blocks. Identify those orange free time blocks. Where does your time really go? Then consciously carve out dedicated time for your yellow project, your calling, your music, and make damn sure that working on your yellow project feels genuinely more exciting, more fulfilling than falling into the orange distractions. Let passion dominate passive leisure.
Option 3, master your time blocks, prioritize the yellow.
Just pick one, start there. Action beats rumination every time.
Fantastic. Thank you. This has been incredibly illuminating, genuinely inspiring. Your insights aren't just theory. They feel so practical, so grounded. A real roadmap. And to you, our listener, we really hope this deep dive has sparked some new thinking about your money, your career, your own amazing potential. Remember what our expert said earlier. What's the point of the billions without being happy? He chose to be here sharing this rather than playing golf, something he loves and actively maximizes. So as you think about your yellow project, as you carve out time to get your music out, ask yourself, are you maximizing what you love? Are you building something? Are you living in a way that brings real joy, deep fulfillment, beyond just the numbers? If you found value here, truly found value in this deep dive, please do us a huge favor. Hit that subscribe button. Keep getting insights like these. We really appreciate you being part of this journey with us. We'll be back soon with another deep dive, ready to help you unlock even more of your potential.